Hello everybody and welcome to another video on Studio Feebee. So today we are going to be illustrating our own Christmas card. So you can join in if you want to. I'm going to list the materials and equipment that I use to make mine. I'll put some pictures in of some existing greeting cards that are currently you can buy on my website here. I'll put the link maybe there. I'm not in my usual setup today. I am in the office and I'm on my desk chair. I've got my PC in front of me and I'm ready to show how I gather the inspiration for some new ideas, how I go about the sketching side, and then how I go on to illustrating digitally on my iPad. If any of you watching do run your own small business, you'll probably definitely be aware of how early you need to get into starting the seasonal trends. So it is actually just the start of November today, but I would probably say start thinking about Christmas even earlier. I mean, I hate to think about Christmas anytime earlier than like December, to be honest, I can't lie. But especially because I work part-time in retail as well, so I see how businesses have got to prepare for the big seasonal transitional periods, because people are increasingly starting to shop a lot earlier now, because they simply can't afford to, do all of their Christmas shopping and get all of the Christmas cards within a week, because it's just so expensive, because cost of living and all of that. So it's definitely a wise thing to start thinking about it early. Got an example here of a Christmas card that I have done recently, which is one of the first of, I'm aiming for about 3 or 4 designs this year. So this one was a gingerbread theme, and if you did watch my previous studio vlog, you would have seen that I was just starting to get the inspiration for that and illustrate it on my iPad. And I've got the finished product here. Now this has been printed on my own printer, and I will show you what kind of printer that I use, the cardstock and where that comes from. I know you can choose to outsource, but that's a completely different conversation of whether you're ready to do that, the cost, the implications that it might have. But this is an example of what we will be making in this video. I think I'm going to aim for maybe like a penguin design or something. I'm going to see what sparks my interest. But something like this is hopefully achievable, and I'll show the sketches as well. The materials that I'll be using are, number 1, a plain paper sketchbook and a graphite pencil. I couldn't tell you what GSM this paper is. It's quite a cheap one, but it gets my sketches down. If you want to gather some ideas first, you'll need access to the internet and a digital device. I'm using my phone. Next up, the actual greeting card, with preferably an envelope. Now, you can make these by scratch, but I buy mine in 5 inches by 7 packs from Hobbycraft. If you're wanting to follow along and do some digital illustration, I'm using my iPad and my trusty Apple Pencil. Honestly, love this thing. The case is also from Amazon. I've had a few questions as to where that is from. And to support that, you will need a digital illustration program. I use Procreate because it gives me lots of freedom with the layers and it is super easy to use. And here I am deciding to open the app, and here is one of my designs that I showed earlier on in the video. If you are working digitally, you will need a printer to get your designs down onto that paper. I use the Canon Pixma TS6351A. I managed to pronounce that okay. I find it is a really trusty printer. It's not amazing quality, but for the level that I'm at now, I think it works quite well until I will upgrade to a better one. So now you've got the list of materials that you might need to follow along and create your own Christmas card, I'm now going into the first stage, which is building inspiration. So I use Pinterest, and honestly just scrolling through social media and seeing what the people that you follow can also spark some ideas. I'm going to screen record what you can see on my Pinterest boards, and we'll see if we can come up with some sort of idea and pathway to follow for our sketches. Too hot. So I'm going to start off by searching illustrated penguins and see what comes up. It's always good to also give like a little bit of a prompt depending on like what kind of visual you're after. So whether you want something like this one here that's done in watercolours or like more of a vector style, it's always good to sort of give it a vague direction. So we'll see what's going on here. Why is it not letting me scroll down? Huh? So let me scroll. Sorry that now, I don't know what was going on there. Very weird. Oh, this one's cute, I like that. So save that one too. So if you just create a new board, if you're following along on Pinterest, you can create a board if you go on your profile, and then you can save specific images for your reference to the board. So then you've got like a little collection there that you can keep going back to. That one's cute with the jumper as well. I quite like that. Because I'll collate all these together, and then you sort of pick and choose, see what you like about some, what you might not like about others, or the kind of visual style that you're going for. And it's always good to have this collection of references that you can keep looking back to when you're sketching as well. That's very sweet. Oh, I like that. And then if on Pinterest, if you also want to find out more about whoever has done this piece of artwork, then it'll have like a little description on the right of it. So as you can see here, this is from Redbubble, so I'm sure if I follow that link through, then it'll show the artist that has drawn that. It's cute. So as you can see here, this is the collection that I've just took around 10 to 15 minutes on, and this is them all together. I have got the old ones from the gingerbread design that I showed you earlier in the video, but you can see sort of like the vague direction. So I'm thinking of maybe like an individual penguin design in the middle who's got quite a lot of personality, maybe a jumper or a hoodie, or even adding a bit of motion like with the ice skates here. I think this is a really, really cute style, and similar to this one here as well. And something that Pinterest does really well is when you click on one, it will then give you similar options. So obviously this is a penguin on skates, but then it'll give you options even more here with more penguins on skates. Once you've collated some ideas, you then want to grab a piece of paper or a sketchbook or anything that you feel comfortable sketching on. So now we go into the sketching stage. So this is where you'll do some rough ideas, some maybe rough compositions based on those pins and like inspirational little bits that you have saved. So what I like to do is I like to keep my PC up and running with the pins in front of me here, and then I can sort of reference back to them as I'm sketching and add little things in that I might like, and add into the drawing to make it pop a little bit. I've got my sketchbook here, and I usually start this process in a coloured pencil. So that means that I can do really rough sketches without it being too sort of finalised. So if you watch my previous studio vlog, you can see the sketch here for that other card that I showed you at the start. So the underlayer is done in this pink coloured pencil like this. And then I'll go over it in a darker pencil just so I get like a rough kind of guide. So I'm going to start that process now with the coloured pencil, and feel free to join along and do your sketches as well. So I'm going to begin by sketching my 2 penguin designs I think that I'm going to do. So it's really rough. I think maybe they'll have a woolly hat on, or definitely some clothing, so I'll give them a bit of character. Now just changed to a bit of a darker red because I was struggling to see the pink pencil actually. It's really bad lighting in this office. I don't know what the weather is doing, but it's so dark. The clocks have just come back, so it's like getting pitch black at like 5 p.m. Ew! It's currently kind of looking a bit like a snowman. But we're getting there. I did a scarf and a hat, and now I'm just trying to roughly do the body shape. This is what my penguin sketch is looking like so far. So like I said before, this is the really rough stage. So I've got the 2 characters here. I think I want this one to be a little bit more animated with its arm up in the air. And then this one's got the hat and the scarf on. And I've added a little jumper with maybe like a little motif here on the front. I will now go in with a darker pencil. This is just a normal 4B sketching pencil, and go over these lines, adding a little bit more detail. And then this will be the reference that will go onto my iPad to start the digital illustration. I hope you guys are all following along, or I'm giving you some ideas to create your own Christmas cards. Once you're at a stage that you're happy with your sketch, it's now time to transport this onto digital formats. So if you're not wanting to follow along digitally, you might be happy with this drawing as is, or maybe want to add some colour traditionally with coloured pencils or paints. That's absolutely fine. I'm now going to use my iPhone to take a picture of this, and then I will transport it over to my iPad on Procreate, which is where you can join me to add some colour and bring this sketch to life. Exciting. This is my favourite part, definitely. And here we go. This video is absolutely full of screen recordings today, isn't it? So here I am, I've just opened Procreate and I go onto the add feature in the top left and I've inputted my photo that I've took from my sketchbook. I always find this such a useful way to use as guides. So there's an option here in the layers tab to turn the opacity down. So this basically makes it more of a transparent layer and then you can work over the top of that. As you can see, there's a really extensive brush library. I like to use a 6B pencil. So this is the one that I usually use for all of my outlines before I will then use the gouache brush to add the colour and the textures. The way that Procreate have designed their colour panel as well, I think is really good because you can really explore loads of different shades, and there's a swatch panel so you can save which colours that you have used, so then it makes it consistent throughout your artwork. And as you can see here, I have got a lot of different swatch libraries that I have saved, and I will find myself going back to a few of my favourite shades as well if I like the way that they worked in one piece, and I'll try it in another. Here I'm just trying to find a good shade for the penguin, so maybe like a dark grey, that kind of tone. And on the left, the size meter also has similar properties as the swatch panel, where you can save certain sizes, so your brush size will stay consistent. I tend to use the same sort of thickness in all of my greeting cards, so then they all follow the same kind of style. And here you'll just see me start to begin to follow the outlines. And ta-da! Just like magic, there is all the outlines mapped out and the kind of colours that I was after. So I wanted to go for a dark green hat and more of a minty green scarf with the little rosy pink cheeks, of course. And then when I am doing the smaller details, I will reduce the brush size, so then the inner details don't match the thickness of the sort of outline of the body. There's one eyeball done. And a little cheeky trick, if you want to save time and also get that exact same proportion, I duplicated that layer and use the flip tool, so I've got the other eye straight away and it's completely identical to the other one. Now it is time to add some colour. Now if you are familiar with my work, I love the gouache tool because it creates a really soft texture within my work and it is really easy to layer. So as you can see here, I'm starting on the bobble of the bobble hat in the dark green shade. And the more layers that you do, of course, the shade will gradually get darker. Here I am turning on the photo layer underneath to see how accurate my lines are to my original sketch and whether I need to tweak anything. And a big piece of advice I would give to people doing illustration, and whether you want it to sort of get that realistic feel, what I do is I identify a light source. So in the top left here, I've just sketched like a quick little sun, and that will be the point of where my light is shining. So I decided to do a light blue kind of shimmer to represent the light, and then this will go in the direction of where I have mapped out that sun. You'll soon see what I'm talking about here. And I just absolutely love the feel and the look that that gives as well, with the two mixing of the different colours.
At this point, I felt like the bobble was looking a little bit flat and it needed a bit of texture. So what I did was I switched back to my pencil tool and then added a little bit of a frayed edge on the outside to represent it being quite fluffy. And there is the hat finished. So as you can see, I've used that blue shine on the left hand side, which is where the light source is coming from, and I have also accentuated that with a lighter blue pencil line to make it a bit more graphic. And now it's time to follow that same process and begin on the body and the face. And 3, 2, 1, ta-da! There is my finished first penguin. I actually really like how he turned out. As you can see, I've added a little bit more detail on the scarf, and I've really tried to add that texture in there with the hat and the scarf and try to make it look really fluffy. So we're on to the next one now, and it's the same kind of process. I'm doing the outlines for the earmuffs and creating that same sort of built-up texture with the pencil brush. We're really getting into the smaller details here, so I've switched back to a thinner brush and I'm doing the little lines on the cuffs of this little fella's jumper. Just beginning to start the colouring process. Adding in that bit of a light source. I actually really liked the way the blue and the purple mixed together. I thought this looked really, really good. And really wintry as well. It really sort of matches the theme of the penguins and winter Christmas. And I'll continue this process like the other one, and here we go. There's the two finished penguins together. I do really, really like how they turned out, and it was now time to start mapping in the background. So I wanted an igloo scene, and because, I mean, I thought an igloo would be probably quite hard to draw off the top of my head, I did get a quick reference image, and here I am just positioning the penguins as to where I would like them sitting with the igloo behind. I did leave this image on for a while with the lower opacity turned down, just so I could quickly trace over the main dimensions and the markings. It's taking a little bit more form now, and I didn't want it to look as round, so what I did was I erased the outline and then I put on a bit more of a bumpy line around there to make it look a little bit more organic. And there we are. Here is the finished design. I really enjoyed doing this. And what I did was I added a few little Christmas lights going around the igloo and a few snowflakes as well to finish it off. And I thought I would keep this screen recording in just to show everyone a little bit of what my process is like after. So what I will do then is I will export this original design into a PNG, and then I take that onto an old document that I have which has got the dimensions for my 5x7 greeting cards. And then I'll input that design onto that one so that it will create the same template in the layout. And you can see what I mean here. I feel like I've just made that sound loads more confusing than it actually is. And this is my old existing gingerbread design, so my logo is not centered in the right place because that was a landscape card. So now I've just had to flip it round and place it in the vertical place. Time to export for print. So I've got into the Canon print app and it's on a 7x10 colour settings, and I do it for the greeting card format, so the ink comes through a little bit brighter, completely borderless, sharpness is turned on. Let's see how it turns out.
Don't you want me like I want you, baby?
And here's the final product. As you can see, I was really chuffed with myself. I did really like the way that this turned out, and I think the blue tones look really nice in the background as well. So of course my design does print completely flat, and I usually would use a scoring board to crease the middle line. However, for the purpose of this video, I did just quickly do it on camera just so you guys could see. And to add that little extra touch of sparkle, I bought these adhesive stick-on gems from Hobbycraft, and I've used the light blue ones to go in the centre of the snowflakes. I just like to think that this adds like a little special touch and gives it a bit more of a three-dimensional feel as well. Thank you so much for watching, and if you did follow along, I'd love to see your designs.